All right, so now I have the circuit rhythm loaded here. I have some projects loaded up already, and the tempo is at 126 on the circuit rhythm, and on the Deluge it's at 124. Now the cable routing can get a little bit messy, but this is how I do it. So I go from the Deluge stereo, like left and right, like this. Is that, no, sorry, that's sample in. The output is right here, actually. And the Deluge just has one line input right here in the back. And so I plug that right into here. And then I'll put this back like this. Now I have to MIDI sync it using this cable right here. Just a simple MIDI cable. And I think what I'm gonna do is go to out of the rhythm and then to the in. I think this was in. Well, I'm gonna find out. I can't remember because unfortunately the markings are not really there anymore. I've had this Deluge for a very long time and I didn't get around to getting it fixed. So, okay, it must be the next one. Right. So right now it's syncing to the circuit rhythm is right now controlling the Deluge, but I want it to be the other way around. So what I'm going to have to do is switch it from out to in from the circuit rhythm, and then I guess this is out. It's kind of makes more sense. Now in theory it should work. There we go. Now the Deluge is controlling the circuit rhythm, and I'm gonna get out of sync and go to mixer, but you can't hear the circuit rhythm because I need to actually create a dummy track. So in order for me to do that, I just hold a blank one and click this black knob and it goes to audio. Now I press shift. Wait a minute, was it that way? Oh yeah, learn. So in order to make a through, like using the line in, I hold down learn, click that audio track that I just made, and it takes me to the input more. So I'm going to choose stereo dot, not the stereo, just it has to be the stereo with the dot. Click it, and now you can hear the circuit rhythm playing as well. The volume is considerably lower, as you can hear. So for me to turn it up, I'm just going to hold down that, and you can see, you can kind of see that it's turned down. So let's turn it up. the master volume is turned all the way up. So it kind of makes it easier in that sense where when I'm making tracks on the rhythm itself, for example, I try to have the volume maxed out and make sure nothing is distorting while I'm creating a track. So so if I were to, in a live setting, if I were to play, for example, I would have, let's say, the certain elements of this track selected, ready to go, and play it. It might not make sense key-wise, like the keys might be off because I didn't choose the tracks that would necessarily go together, but now I can just like bring in and out elements from each, do some effects. Yeah, so you can like mix and match stuff, bring in certain elements, take away certain elements. The rule of thumb I usually have is I don't overlap kick drum with kick drum because it can sound too distorting or loud. And another thing is I don't play bass lines over on top of each other. I can play melodic elements if they make sense or if they're in the right key. If not, then I can take them away and I can introduce percussive and drum elements of the next song. Let's say I'm going to switch from a song from the Circuit Rhythm to the Deluge. I'll start taking away sounds and adding new sounds to the Deluge. So I'm kind of like live remixing tracks from one track to the next. And yeah, so let's pretend I have that going, and then I want to change the project to another project on the Circuit Rhythm. It's very simple. Simply I can load up another one that I have already pre-made. And then, of course, if I'm going to load another track on the Deluge, I have to have another dummy track for audio that is enabled for the stereo track. In this scenario, I do have some, but I can't remember exactly which ones they are, so I'm just going to save this one. and load up the 609 track, create another dummy track in here and bring it up to like 40. So also when I use a dummy track, I always try to turn it up exactly the same amount as it was on the last one. That way they're all nicely the same, and there won't be any like volume adjustments or hiccups when you're switching from track to track. So for example, let's say I have this going, okay, I'm going to save this one again, 609. I'm going to switch from 609 to 610. And you can hear that there's no cut between the circuit rhythm and it's seamless. And yeah, that's how I would use another piece of gear in a live setting.